Hi friends, welcome to A Wonderful Sheep and welcome to my July reading wrap-up video. I actually finished my July spreads at the end of July and I had the clips ready to go and I was excited to have it up in a timely manner, but it's just been so hot lately and I just never got around to filming this voiceover and flip through. So here we are, better late than never. Let us look at what I read in July. So here is the cover page. I was not feeling very inspired by anything for July. I think just the summer months make me feel very sluggish and I didn't know what to do for the cover page, so I tried to do the opposite of how I was feeling and tried to make bright neon colors and fun shapes. Before we get into the July spreads, I think we'll go back into the June spreads to look at some series I finished. First, I finished I don't think these are translated into English, but the Sawamura's house, where their average age is 60 years old. So it's a series about this family. The mother is Norie, the father is Shiro, and the daughter is Hitomi. And Hitomi is 40 years old and Shiro is 70. The mother is 69 years old. And it's just a really sweet, fun series about their daily lives. And this author's comic books in general, or I guess they're maybe mangas, they're very heartwarming and sweet, and they make you look at just the everyday little things in your life. So I really enjoyed them. I'm not quite done with, but I made good progress on the Sujang series, which is another pretty famous series of hers, and I also really enjoyed this. It's a little bit different than the Sawamurashi's average age 60 years old series in that I felt like it was a little bit of a more serious tone. The Sawamurashi felt a little more lighthearted, and then the Sujang series felt a little bit more serious, but I really enjoyed it as well. She talks about her life, love, relationships, and just all the things that we experience as human beings. And then this book, maybe translated as anybody's life, this was just a standalone, I believe, and this one made me sob. There was a twist at the end that I was not expecting. So that is the series I read for Masuda Miri. And then I did finish the Lady Sherlock series in July. I talked about this more in depth in my June video, but this was such a good series. I really enjoyed immersing myself in this series and this world of Lady Sherlock. I think in July I read Miss Moriarty, I presume, A Tempest at Sea, and A Ruse of Shadows. And it's hard for me to talk about individual books in a series if I binge read them, and it's been a while, but in general, I do highly recommend the Lady Sherlock series. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen my June video talking about it, it's a retelling of the Sherlock series, but Sherlock Holmes is Charlotte Holmes. She acts under the guise of Sherlock Holmes, and she has a Mrs. Watson, and she has a Lord Ash, who is the love interest. And one thing that I really liked about this series, it is a mystery series, but Sherry Thomas, the author, writes really good romance. And it's interesting because from the get-go, chapter 1 of the first book, the setup is made that it's impossible for Charlotte and Ash to have a happily ever after in a typical Regency romance book where they get married at the end. Something happens in the first chapter of the book that they can't really be together. But over the series, over each book, there's the slow burn, and there's just will they, won't they, and there's just this great I love how she draws out the relationship and you're always rooting for them. And I really enjoyed the ending of A Ruse of Shadows. I don't know if this is the last book in the series or if there will be more, but I was very pleased at how some things were resolved in A Ruse of Shadows. I hope there will be more because I loved reading this series. But yeah, so that is a catch-up of the series I read in July. Let's get into the new books. Okay, so into the July spreads. Like I said, I did finish my July spreads at the end of July 3 weeks ago, and because it was so hot, I either worked on it a little bit late at night with the fan blasting, so that's not conducive to filming, or I actually took my journal to the library one day to work on it a little bit as well. And I filmed a bit of that, but just in general. I wasn't able to film too much because it's just been too hot and I had to have the fan on all the time. And so for July, it feels like I finished a lot of series, and I dabbled in some more nonfiction and romance, of course. For my nonfiction books, let's see, I read The Comfort Book by Matt Haig. It's more like a collection of sort of inspiring feel-good quotes. How to Be Everything, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, and then this is a book in Korean. It's about a book about doing YouTube. Nothing really stands out from my nonfiction reads. I didn't particularly get much out of How to Be Everything, which sort of talks about ways for people who have like multiple interests, sort of like polymaths, to find their life's work, I guess. The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning was a nice audiobook listen. It was nice to listen to like an older voice, because the author is over 80. Talk about this concept of Swedish death cleaning. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, where old elderly people, I guess in Sweden, they have a practice of like going through their stuff and getting rid of their stuff besides the essentials before their death, like in preparation for eventual passing. I just thought it was, since I'm in my decluttering, destashing phase, I just wanted to listen to that, and I liked it. For romance books, my favorites were The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson, I believe. Yes. This was fun. It's like a baseball romance, and I was able to enjoy it more because I've been going to the gym lately, and on the treadmill I watch like the sports channels, and they always have baseball highlights on. So if I hadn't had that sort of background of watching baseball highlights in the morning, I wouldn't have, I think, understood or related to the scenes describing baseball, but I was able to catch those moments better with that. And Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, very vibesy summer book. She writes very good summer vibesy books. I think I gave this 5 stars. I really liked it. For historicals, Earls Trip was kind of fun. It was sort of like a different take on the male main characters, because they're not like very manly, like masculine, gruff characters. There's like a friendship group of these male characters, and they're all kind of like supportive and nice, not toxic in any way, so that's kind of cute. But yeah, that was fine. And then I wrote a little bit about the 2 series that I finished, Masuda Miri and the Lady Sherlock series. I read some short essays by Kim Jun-yu, who is a Korean illustrator and writer. And then, what else? Oh, Grace of the Wild Things. This was written by the same author who did the Emily Wilde Encyclopedia of Fairies, Heathery Fawcett. I liked it. I listened to it on audio. It's a retelling of Anne of Green Gables, but with witches. And then I picked up a new author, Ilona Andrews, the Hidden Legacy series, and this was an interesting series. I did finish it. I think in general I would rate it as like a 3.5. Like, it was a fun read. So the Hidden Legacy series, it takes place in Houston. It's modern day. I think this was written in the 2010s maybe, so it does have a different, slightly different feel. Like, I feel like it has sort of like a Twilight-esque influence to it, but it's our world as we know it, except in the 1800s, some scientists developed this serum that gave people magical powers. And it was distributed around the world until the leaders of the world decided that it would not be a good thing to have these super soldiers who could basically destroy each other. So they destroyed all of the serum. But it turns out those magical powers were hereditary. And then as time passed, like, power and wealth in the world concentrated into these families, these dynasties who had strong magical powers. There's different like categorizations of magic. Like, the highest level of magic user is prime. They're the strongest. And of course our mailman character, Rogan, Mad Rogan, is a prime. Nevada is the female main character, and in the beginning I think her power isn't even registered. She's just sort of flying low under the radar. She runs a private detective agency with her family, and she's supporting her family that way. And things happen for the 2 main characters to meet and have to work together. And yeah, so the first 3 books are with the main characters are Nevada and Connor. And then the second full-length 3 books are about Catalina, her younger sister, and a new mailman character named Alessandro. And so it was kind of a cool take. I haven't read much urban fantasy before other than the Crescent City series, so I enjoyed reading it, and I know Ilona Andrews is a pretty popular author, so I liked it. And yeah, I have possibly a setup for an August spread. I'm again trying to like counteract how I'm actually feeling weather-wise with like hot and humid, and like I'm like manifesting cooler days. But that was my July in books and reading. I hope you all are doing well. Let me know if you're reading anything interesting. Stay safe and well, healthy and happy, and I will see you back very soon with another video, probably about my August reads. Thanks for watching. Bye.